This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. It's Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The 26-year-old alleged to have gunned down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has been charged with murder.
Officers immediately recognized him.
I'm Jennifer King.
A fast-moving, wind-driven wildfire sweeps through ritzy Malibu.
The fire literally was surrounding us.
I'm Jim Roope in Los Angeles.
Not so secret servicing of the Secret Service. Mike Hempen reports a House committee makes recommendations.
The president-elect offering some incentives.
We're going to make the economy much better.
I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, the markets are coming off modest losses. Investors are bracing for the latest on inflation coming this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
An environmental case to the Supreme Court, and TikTok goes to federal court.
Former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz has a new job. I'm Ed Donahue.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Police in New York City and Pennsylvania are being credited with a rapid investigation that led to the capture of the man suspected of gunning down United Healthcare's CEO Brian Thompson. As correspondent Jennifer King reports, authorities are also concerned about the social media sympathy for the former school valedictorian turned inmate Luigi Mangione, who's now fighting extradition back to New York.
The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's. The real heroes every day in our society are the women and men who put on uniforms like these and go out in our communities to keep us safe. This killer was not a hero. He should not be hailed.
Court records in New York show that the 26-year-old alleged to have gunned down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has been charged with murder. Luigi Nicholas Mangione is in custody in Pennsylvania after police responded to a tip from a customer at a McDonald's in Altoona.
Luigi, do it. And completely out of touch. And it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
Deputy Police Chief Derek Swope.
That male was asked to remove his face mask, and officers immediately recognized him as a suspect.
The complaint says when asked whether he'd been to New York recently, he became quiet and started to shake. Arresting officer Tyler Fry had been with the force for all of 6 months.
We were able to pretty much find where he was at in the restaurant. And as soon as he was wearing a blue medical mask. As soon as we pulled that down, or we asked him to pull it down, me and my partner and I recognized him immediately, just from what we saw in the media with photos, videos. We just didn't even think twice about it. We knew that was our guy.
A law enforcement official who spoke with the Associated Press said Mangione carried a document in which he claimed to have acted alone and wrote it had to be done. These parasites simply had it coming. Officials say he was carrying a ghost gun like the one used to kill Thompson and the same fake ID the shooter had used to check into a New York hostel, along with a passport, fraudulent IDs, and $10,000 in cash. Police credited the tip along with old school detective work and new age technology in helping locate the suspect. I'm Jennifer King.
Strong Santa Ana winds and extremely dry conditions are the fuel for the out-of-control wildfire burning in upscale Malibu, California. Our Jim Roope has more from Los Angeles.
The so-called Franklin Fire, ignited late Monday night, grew to nearly 3,000 acres at the filing of this report. Now remember, an acre is roughly the size of a football field, so an area the size of nearly 3,000 football fields has been scorched, and it continues to burn.
Proving that fire season is not a season. It's year-round in the state of California.
Governor Gavin Newsom has secured federal funds to help fight the fire. Newsom says a fire management assistance grant from FEMA will help ensure the availability of vital resources to suppress the fire that's already destroyed at least 2 multi-million-dollar mansions and several other buildings and some vehicles. LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney says this fire is the largest burning in the state right now, so there are plenty of resources available to fight it.
We've procured more helicopters with night, and our pilots have night vision goggles, so we are now able to bring the fight to the night. And we also have our quick reaction force. It's the big CH-47 Chinook helicopter. We had 3 of those helicopters on station tonight. And then as the sun rose, you'll see that our CL-415 Super Scoopers that we leased from the province of Quebec are out there dropping. and we're going to have a coordinated ground and air assault.
There are more than 800 firefighters on the ground and in the air in this place. Some 18,000 people from roughly 2,000 homes are evacuated, and LA County Sheriff Robert Luna assures them as firefighters work to protect their homes from fire, his deputies will protect their expensive residences from looters.
We have professionals on our department, and we're not going to allow that to happen. And just a message for anyone who's thinking about coming to this neighborhood to do something like that, you're going to get arrested, you're going to get caught, you're going to get arrested, you're going to get prosecuted. Don't do it.
Even though the winds have calmed down quite a bit, the red flag warning is still in effect through today because of the extremely tinder dry brush and single-digit humidity. Jim Roope, Los Angeles.
When we return on America in the Morning, Trump's edict to billionaires. After these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Heavy rain today from the northeast to the Gulf. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
A powerful storm and associated cold front will lead to widespread heavy rain and thunderstorms along the East Coast today. The strongest of these storms will be from eastern North Carolina northward through eastern Virginia into Maryland, Delaware, and then continuing to southern New England. This will produce a widespread area of 2 or more inches of rainfall through these areas, and winds will also be quite powerful, especially near the coast where some gusts of 70 miles per hour can occur from New York to Maine. There will certainly be a risk for flooding with the rain, and the wind could lead to some power outages. Behind this boundary, there will be a surge of Arctic air. This system has already made its way through the northern plains into the western Great Lakes, and as it continues eastward, it will cause lake effect snow to develop through Michigan into Indiana and Ohio. It will also cause rain to change to snow in portions of West Virginia, northward to western New York, and this can certainly lead to some slippery travel. That colder air will hold some northern plains locations below zero through the day, with many areas staying in the single digits. There will be some moderation through central and southern plains, with temperatures warming into the 60s into Texas and Louisiana. In the west, much of the day will remain dry with some sunshine, but there will be low clouds and fog to start in the valley areas. But another storm is finally going to be moving into Northern California, into Oregon late in the day, which will expand southward and eastward tonight. That's the weather across America. It will be a very cold day in Duluth, Minnesota, with a few flurries and a high of just 9. It will be a warmer day in Miami, Florida, with clouds and sun and a shower or 2 in the afternoon and a high of 85. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
I'm John Trout. Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. A House of Representatives task force recommends changes to the Secret Service following 2 attempts on Donald Trump's life. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
The task force looking into the assassination attempts against Donald Trump recommends the Secret Service protect fewer foreign leaders during an election season. Another recommendation is considering moving the agency out of the Department of Homeland Security. The report describes the July assassination attempt against Trump as tragic and preventable. It suggests transferring the Secret Service responsibility of protecting foreign leaders during the UN General Assembly in New York to another agency, and it notes the officers carry out many investigations not related to their protective mission. The task force recommends reviewing those responsibilities so the agency can prioritize protecting U.S. leaders and candidates running for office. Mike Hempen, Washington.
President-elect Trump is offering incentives to billionaires and big businesses that invest in the U.S. economy. Correspondent Clayton Neville has more on the story.
In a post on social media, President-elect Donald Trump said, quote, "Get ready to rock." He's long promised to put the pedal to the metal on the economy when taking back the Oval Office.
We're going to make the economy much better. I mean, that's bigger than anything we can do, is make the economy better. We're not going to let foreign countries come in and steal our businesses, our jobs, and everything else.
Trump with an offer ahead of his January inauguration. He'll give expedited approvals to projects that invest at least $1 billion or more into the U.S. economy. The approvals, he said, include but are not limited to all environmental approvals. The National Environmental Policy Act requires federal agencies do reviews before approving energy production or infrastructure projects. This as the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments this week surrounding the NEPA's scope to exclude certain indirect environmental impacts. I'm Clayton Neville.
Condo building owners sell as new laws go into effect in Florida. That and more in Morning Business when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Thanks for listening. You're with America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. A roller coaster ride on Wall Street for investors yesterday. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after mild losses for the major averages yesterday.
You have a general case of the market treading water, churning around a little bit. The S&P's flat on a one-month basis.
CNBC's Mike Santoli. Investors bracing for the latest on inflation. It comes this morning at 8:30 Eastern. It could influence whether the Fed cuts interest rates next week or just pauses and does nothing. Apple shares hit a record high for their 8th straight trading day yesterday. Apple on pace to be the first company to reach a major milestone.
Look at what we've just seen with Apple. Don't tell anyone. Apple's about to hit $4 trillion in market cap.
Ritholtz Wealth's Josh Brown on CNBC. Alphabet shares jumped 5% after Google touted a new breakthrough quantum chip. Walgreens in talks to sell itself to a private equity firm, according to the Wall Street Journal. Coffee futures have set a fresh record high, beating the high set in 1977. Climate change impacting coffee bean producers worldwide. Taylor Swift's impact on the entertainment industry will be very long-lasting after she wrapped up the tour Sunday night.
The legacy of the $2 billion Eras Tour is shaping the concert and the entertainment industry. Taylor Swift's approach of doing mini residences, shows only over the weekend in fewer cities, normalized concert travel, which created a more robust fan experience. By having these mini residencies, she gave herself a couple of days to rest, which allowed her to perform for 3.5 hours for 3 or 4 nights in a row. And that also allowed them to build these giant sets. I mean, if she was doing a concert for one night in many more different cities, it would not have enabled her to have such elaborate sets or for her to physically rest after that 3.5 hour performance.
CNBC's Julia Borston. Real estate experts tell CNBC the Florida condo market is about to hit a cliff. After the deadly Surfside condominium collapse 3 years ago, Florida lawmakers set new rules, and they're about to take effect. They require buildings over 30 years old to be inspected and repaired, and guess who pays? The people who own the apartments, the condo unit owners.
Some owners are hoping to sell, others are walking away already, and 3/4 of all the condo units for sale are more than 30 years old and subject to the new rules. As the inspections are done, the bills are coming due, and for some associations, costs are in the millions of dollars, meaning condo owners are on the hook. The vast majority in the older buildings are retirees. They saved up, they bought it, they've budgeted for this certain amount, and now they're getting hit with hundreds of thousands of dollars. They simply can't afford it.
CNBC's Diana Olick. On today's watch list, it's all about inflation with the CPI report. We also get earnings today from Adobe.
Thank you, Jessica Ettinger, with Wednesday Business. When we return on America in the Morning, time is running out for TikTok after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. In a lawsuit that could reshape environmental laws, the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments in the 7-county Infrastructure Coalition versus Eagle County case involving a railway in Utah, and that ruling could limit the scope of environmental reviews currently required by federal law. After a railway link connecting oil fields was approved, environmental groups challenged, citing potential impacts to the local environment. The U.S. Court of Appeals ruled for the challengers, sending it to the nation's highest court. Facing the potential of being banned in the U.S., TikTok is heading back to court. Correspondent Mangione has details.
TikTok has asked a federal appeals court to stop the Biden administration from enforcing a law that could lead to a ban of the popular platform. The company has asked to hold off its ban until the Supreme Court reviews the case. The legal filing was made after a panel of judges on the same court sided with the government last week and ruled that the law, which requires TikTok to divest from its China-based parent company or face a ban as soon as next month, was constitutional. If the law is not overturned, both TikTok and its parent company ByteDance have said the popular app will have to shut down by mid-January. Mangione, Washington.
Within 30 days, he went from congressman to attorney general nominee to TV talk show host. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports Matt Gaetz now has a new job.
Gaetz has been hired by the conservative One America News Network to host a nightly primetime talk show. He will also co-host a weekly video podcast. Gaetz was nominated for Attorney General by President-elect Donald Trump, but withdrew his name because of scrutiny over a House investigation into sexual misconduct involving underage girls, a charge Gaetz has vehemently denied. After being nominated, Gaetz resigned from Congress. This is a big step for One America News, or OANN. They are in the shadow of Fox News Channel and Newsmax in the competition for conservative viewers. Matt Gaetz Show premieres next month. I'm Ed Donahue.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Bail denied for the alleged shooter in the killing of the United Healthcare CEO. I'm Clayton Neville.
U.S. officials warn they won't let ISIS take over Syria. I'm John Stolness in Washington.
President Biden defends his administration's economic record. Sagar Mangione, Washington.
A judge reverses the Alex Jones onion sale. Kimberly Guilfoyle, ambassador, and New York prosecutors scheming ways to keep a Donald Trump conviction in place.
A swatting crime leads to a fatality in Georgia. I'm Shirley Adler.
GM shifting gears away from robotaxi. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Back after these messages. Heavy rain expected in the east today. A different story in the west with today's national forecast on America in the Morning. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
In the west, we're looking at dry weather for much of the day with some sunshine. There will be some low clouds and fog to start in the valley areas. We do have another storm finally moving onshore in Northern California into Oregon by late in the day, which will expand into central California and then eastward to Nevada, where there could even be some snow also mixing into the region. The rest of the western states will remain largely dry with highs in the 30s and 40s in the north and warming to around 70 in the southwest. Meanwhile, we're watching a powerful storm and its cold front along the east coast today. This will lead to widespread heavy rain, thunderstorms, and gusty winds. The strongest of these storms will be from eastern North Carolina, northward eastern Virginia into Maryland and Delaware, and then continuing into southern New England. And this will produce a widespread area of 2 or more inches of rainfall through these areas. Winds, especially near the coast, can gust as high as 70 miles per hour from New York to Maine. There will certainly be a risk for flooding with the rain, and the wind could also produce some power outages. Behind this boundary, there will be some Arctic air moving into the region, and there will be some heavy lake effect developing in parts of Michigan into Indiana and Ohio. It will also cause the rain to change to snow in portions of West Virginia, northward to western New York, and this could lead to some slippery travel, especially by the end of the day. And that colder weather will hold in the northern plains states, with some locations staying below zero throughout the day and many areas staying in the single digits. There will be moderation through the central and southern plains, with temperatures warming into the 60s in parts of Texas and Louisiana. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. The suspected shooter in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan is pushing back against extradition to New York. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports on the arrest and what Luigi Mangione's lawyer is now saying.
26-year-old Luigi Mangione was arrested at an Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's.
Luigi, do it. And it's completely out of touch. And it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
He's now contesting his extradition to stand trial in New York, but New York Governor Kathy Hochul says that she'll sign a request for a governor's warrant. Thomas Dickey is Mangione's lawyer.
I haven't seen any evidence that says that he's the shooter. So that's, like I said earlier, and I wasn't kidding around. A couple of things. If you're going to report something, report it accurately. And remember, and this is not just a small thing, the fundamental concept of American justice is a presumption of innocence, and until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Dickey thinks his client's entitled to bail, which he was denied.
Dickey was entitled to bail, and the judge makes it $100 million or $10 billion or $100,000. He's entitled to bail, but to simply say no bail, in all due respect to a judge, I believe bail should have been set.
The suspect's family released a statement saying they're shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. They offered prayers to Thompson's family. This is witnesses who were at the McDonald's where the suspect was arrested recount what happened.
It's unbelievable. I still can't hardly believe it's for real, you know.
This man thought he may have recognized Mangione.
It started out almost a little bit like a joke that we thought, my one friend thought he looked like the shooter. He probably heard us. That surprised me. He stayed there as long as he did. From what I was told, the worker that took his order, she said his eyes and his eyebrows, she just thought it was him.
Investigators still trying to piece together a clear motive in the killing that is believed to be targeted. Police reportedly describe Mangione as a careful and complicated man who planned the attack carefully and apparently made the murder weapon. I'm Clayton Neville.
In the wake of the stunning fall of the Assad government in Syria, U.S. officials remain cautiously optimistic about the future of that war-torn country, but are also warning about terrorists seizing control in a power vacuum. John Stolness has that story from Washington.
White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby told reporters the U.S. military will continue to conduct strikes against ISIS targets in Syria as the rebels who shockingly took control of the country over the weekend try to figure out the next steps.
You can expect that kind of activity will continue. We don't want to give ISIS an opportunity to exploit what's going on. They love nothing more than ungoverned space.
The rebel insurgency was led by a group called Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, considered a terrorist organization by the U.S. and United Nations. Its leader, Ahmad al-Sharaa, tried to comfort foreign governments about his group assuming power, saying yesterday the country isn't ready for another war and that their presence there does not warrant a return to panic. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says the U.S. is taking a wait-and-see approach.
So far, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is using the right words, but we will, of course, judge them not by those words, but by their actions over the coming days, the coming weeks, the coming months.
Meanwhile, the Israeli Air Force yesterday used airstrikes to take out what they said were strategic military capabilities left behind by the Syrian army in order to keep them out of the hands of jihadists. Israel has temporarily seized a buffer zone created after the 1973 Yom Kippur War to ensure stability. Satellite photos show Russian naval vessels abandoning their only overseas naval base there. They're now anchored off the coast of Syria. And residents are also streaming into some of Assad's renowned prisons that were the sites of various human atrocities. The State Department is asking HTS to keep an eye out for Austin Tice, an American who was kidnapped 12 years ago in Syria and believed to be alive in a prison somewhere in that country. John Stolness, Washington.
President Biden spoke at a forum in Washington, D.C., where he highlighted his administration's economic achievements and also took some parting shots at his successor. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
President Biden is doing a bit of second-guessing as he defends his administration's economic record.
Everybody said when I wanted to have an infrastructure bill that mattered, over $1.3 billion, we'd never get it done. We got it done. Next president has a game plan I laid out, and by the way, he's going to find, since I made a promise I'd invest as much in red states as blue, he's going to have trouble not doing it.
At the Brookings Institution, the president focused on his legacy, noting the American Rescue Plan helped rescue the economy during the COVID pandemic.
I also learned something from Donald Trump,
who in 2020 put his name on pandemic relief checks sent to Americans. A year later,
he signed checks for people for $7,400 because we passed the plan. And I didn't, stupid.
And a few hours later,
he was kidding.
Chief White House economist Jared Bernstein focused instead on 4 years of economic progress. The president says Trump is inheriting the strongest economy in American history.
Next month, my administration will end and a new administration will begin. Most economists agree the new administration is going to inherit a fairly strong economy, at least at the moment. An economy going through fundamental transformation that's laid out a stronger foundation and a sustainable, broad-based, highly productive growth. That is my profound hope that the new administration will preserve and build on this progress.
And warns Trump's planned tax cuts and tariffs would be disastrous.
Profound hope that the new administration will preserve and build on this progress. He seems determined to impose steep universal tariffs on all imported goods brought to this country, on the mistaken belief that foreign countries will bear the cost of those tariffs rather than the American consumer. Who do you think pays for this? I believe this approach is a major mistake.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
When we return on America in the Morning, New York prosecutors won't be muzzled on hush money case, and GM parks robotaxi plans. Those stories and more after these messages. Welcome back to America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. A bankruptcy judge has rejected a bid by the Onion's parent company to buy Alex Jones' media empire, including the website InfoWars, ruling that the auction process was unfair. Judge Christopher Lopez said after a 2-day hearing that the Onion's parent company did not submit the best bid and was wrongly named the winner of Jones' assets, which are being sold off in bankruptcy because he owes $1.2 billion to the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting, falsely telling his audience that the massacre was a hoax. New York prosecutors are trying to come up with a way to preserve Donald Trump's hush money conviction. Correspondent Norman Hall reports.
Eager to preserve President-elect Donald Trump's hush money conviction, prosecutors are suggesting various ways forward to keep the historic conviction on the books. The proposals include freezing the case until Trump is out of office, or agreeing that any future sentence wouldn't include jail time. Another idea, closing the case with a notation that acknowledges his conviction but says that he was never sentenced and that his appeal wasn't resolved because of presidential immunity. The last option is adopted from what some states do when a criminal defendant dies after being convicted, but before appeals are exhausted. Trump is pressing for the case to be thrown out. I'm Norman Hall.
A number of politicians have dealt with swatting incidents, the latest in Georgia. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and the fake 911 bomb threat call cost an unsuspecting woman her life. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
Rome, Georgia police say a motorist was killed in a car accident as police responded to a bomb threat at the Georgia home of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. A police officer on the local bomb squad was traveling to the scene when he collided with another car on Monday. The email threat, which warned of a pipe bomb in Greene's mailbox and referenced Palestine, was sent to the assistant police chief. Greene says the source of the email was traced to a Russian internet address. It was the latest instance of a crime known as swatting, in which false threats are made to draw first responders to her home. Greene says it's happened to her at least 9 times. I'm Shelley Adler.
President-elect Donald Trump announced he's nominating Kimberly Guilfoyle to be U.S. ambassador to Greece. The 55-year-old Guilfoyle, an attorney and former Fox News host turned political fundraiser, was engaged to Trump's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr. However, as of late, Trump Jr. has been spotted with Florida socialite Bettina Anderson, fueling speculation the Trump-Guilfoyle relationship was on the rocks. Guilfoyle, who wrote on social media that she's accepted the nomination to represent the United States in Athens, would require Senate confirmation. In addition, the president-elect has also nominated billionaire Tillman Fertitta, owner of the NBA's Houston Rockets and CEO of the Landry's restaurant and casino chain of businesses, to become U.S. ambassador to Italy, while Tom Barrack, Trump's 2017 Inauguration Committee chairman, was nominated to become U.S. ambassador to Turkey. America in the Morning continues. It's been another dangerous year for reporters who tell the story of events in war-torn areas of the world. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports a journalist rights group finds the number of media workers killed, notably in the Middle East, has risen.
The group says since the start of the war, nearly 140 journalists have been killed, including over 50 Palestinian media professionals in the calendar year. On top of the global fatalities, the IFJ says the number of journalists in prison is also on the rise, with a sharp increase to 520. IFJ General Secretary Anthony Ballinger says these sad figures show once again how fragile is press freedom and how risky and dangerous is the profession, adding the public's need for information is very real at a time when authoritarian regimes are developing all over the world. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Facing stiff competition, GM is mothballing their robo-taxi efforts for now in favor of driver assist features. Here's Chuck Palm with that in today's Tech News.
General Motors is shelving its robo-taxi division. In a statement, GM said they're dropping robo-taxi efforts given considerable time and resources that would be needed to scale the business, along with an increasingly competitive robo-taxi market. The division partnered with Cruise, the technology company of which GM owns 90%, which has now shifted gears to work on driver assist features for privately owned cars. The driver assist feature, called Super Cruise, a hands-off, eyes-on driving feature now offered on more than 20 million GM vehicles, GM said the focus on the driver assistance features will save about $10 billion. Employees who have worked on the self-driving technology will be shifted over to GM and work to enhance the safety and reliability of those features. Facing competition from Google's Waymo, with service by Uber, and Tesla's robo-taxi already rolling out service, it's a tough riders market. Bitcoin down to 96,000 and Ethereum at 3,500. For more, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
Robert Workman has your midweek sports report.
In the NBA Cup quarterfinals last night, the Bucks bounced the Magic 114-109. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 37 points. Damian Lillard scored 9 of his 28 points in the final minute. Milwaukee will take on the winner of tonight's Knicks-Hawks game in one semifinal on Saturday in Las Vegas. Out west, the Thunder rolled over the Mavericks 118-104. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander lit it up for 39 points. Now they await the winner of the Warriors-Rockets game tonight. College basketball, new number 1 Tennessee mashed Miami 75-62 at the Jimmy V Classic in New York City. At baseball's winter meetings in Dallas, the Yankees began spending some of that money they did not use on Juan Soto, reportedly agreeing to an 8-year deal with former Braves southpaw Max Fried worth $218 million. That would be the most ever for a left-handed starter. The Rangers are bringing back righty Nathan Eovaldi, part of their 2023 World Series champion team. He gets a 3-year contract worth $75 million. And the Washington Nationals won the draft lottery. They'll have the number 1 pick next summer. The Nats had back-to-back overall number 1s in 2009 and 2010, choosing Steven Strasburg and Bryce Harper. Hockey, the Avalanche rocked the Penguins 6-2, Mikko Rantanen with a hat trick and 2 assists. Jets romped over the Bruins 8-1. Flames edged the Predators 4-3, ending an 8-game losing streak. Overtime wins for the Maple Leafs and Blues, shootout victories for the Wild and the Panthers, and the Hurricanes, Flyers, Kings, and Oilers picked up W's as well. That's Wednesday Sports.
Robert Workman on sports. When we return on America in the Morning, video gamers indemnified. After these messages. America in the Morning continues. Epic gamers could be seeing some big refunds coming their way following a fortnight court settlement. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
The Federal Trade Commission says people tricked into buying what they didn't want from Fortnite maker Epic Games are now starting to receive refund checks. 2 years ago, Epic Games agreed to pay $520 million. The FTC said the video game giant used deceptive online design tactics to trick Fortnite players, including children, into unintentionally buying content based on the press of a single button. Players could be charged just by trying to wake the game from sleep mode. The FTC also accused Epic of blocking some users who disputed the charges from accessing the content they bought. More than 629,000 payments are going to eligible customers who submitted claims. The average refund is $114. Players can still apply for a refund. The deadline is January 10th. I'm Ed Donahue.
Superstar Taylor Swift is spreading the love around after wrapping up her record-setting world concert tour. Kevin Carr has details.
This past weekend was an end of an era and the end of the Eras tour.
I was supposed to be sent away.
Taylor Swift performed her final show Sunday in Vancouver, capping off 21 months with 149 concerts in 51 cities through 21 countries. The Eras tour grossed over $2 billion and played to more than 10 million people. At her final show, Swift had this emotional message for her fans, captured by the fan account Kelsey Swift.
The lasting legacy of this tour is the fact that you have created such a space of joy and togetherness and love. I couldn't be more proud of you.
Swift also thanked her staff with $197 million in bonuses, according to People magazine. This included everyone from truck drivers and caterers to dancers and production staff. Swift called out her main squeeze, Travis Kelce, by changing song lyrics to refer to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now that she's done, the couple can relax over the holidays. On Live with Kelly and Mark on Tuesday, the co-hosts offered some advice for the global music sensation.
So what do you do after a two-year?
You go to Disney World.
Go to Disney World.
That's obviously what you do.
Definitely get some rest.
We will see her again soon at the Grammys in February. I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.